The Art of Living. 2. Healing our desires. Consider the following two scenarios, one of which is based on a true story. Caitlin bought a pair of leather boots at a consignment store, a shop that sells secondhand items on behalf of the original owner. When she took them home and tried them on, she noticed a set of diamond earrings in one of the boots. She picked them up and thought to herself, wow, this is amazing. Diamond earrings just sitting here in this boot. These must be worth a lot of money. She held them up to the light and was in awe of how big, clear, and beautiful they were. She started to put them on. But then she stopped and said to herself, how did these get here? Somebody must have accidentally left them in the boots before bringing them to the consignment store. Can I keep these? I probably should return the earrings to the store so they can track down the owner. Just then, however, she remembered something that made her reconsider. Wait, I've always wanted to have diamond earrings just like these. I've been waiting my whole life hoping one day I could have a nice set of diamond earrings, and here they are. They just fell into my lap. This is my chance. No one will ever know I have them. She was overjoyed at the thought of finally possessing such beautiful earrings which she could never afford on her own. She started to put them on again. Yet something in her conscience made her pause. There was an inner struggle. Part of her strongly desired the earrings. Another part of her said, no, I shouldn't take these. They're not mine. Back and forth she went in her mind, and in the end, Caitlin decided to do the right thing. She said to herself, as much as I want to keep these earrings, I'm going to resist the temptation to do so. At this, she drove back to the consignment store to tell the manager what happened. Thankfully, the manager was able to contact the person who left the earrings in the boot, and the jewelry was returned to the original owner. On the same day, Joan walked into another consignment store to buy a pair of boots. When she got home, she was surprised to find a set of diamond earrings in one of them. She immediately took the misplaced earrings back to the consignment store and told the manager what happened. The manager was able to return the earrings to the original owner. Who exhibited more virtue, Caitlin or Joan? At first glance, we might think Caitlin possessed more virtue. After all, she had to battle against temptations to keep the earrings. It took a lot of effort to tell herself no. Joan, however, didn't wrestle with a moral choice. She didn't have to put in much effort at all. There was no struggle, no battle, and no temptation for her to resist. She seemed to act automatically without having to think much about her decision. But Caitlin made a conscious choice. She felt the weight of her decision. She had the intense desire to keep the earrings, but fought hard against it. She resisted the temptation and made a free conscience, deliberate moral choice to do the right thing. Doesn't it seem that Caitlin exhibited more virtue than Joan? But being a virtuous person is not simply about doing the right thing. It runs much deeper than that. It's about a person's disposition, character, emotions, and desire. Do you desire the right thing? Do you take delight in the right thing? Is it easy for you to pursue the good? And do you do it consistently? Who has the ability? A person's virtue is found not in a one-time act, but in an inner strength or ability that he possesses and can use at any time needed. Take an example from weightlifting. There might be one person at the gym who works very hard, exerts himself tremendously, and pushes himself to bench 200 pounds for the very first time. But there's another person at the gym who easily benches 200 pounds and does 10 repetitions quickly just to warm up. Both lift 200 pounds that day, but who has more ability or strength to do so? Clearly the second man, who makes benching 200 look easy. Another example can make this point even clearer. Imagine a husband who is invited by another woman to have an affair. He considers the offer for a while. A part of him wants to have this affair, but another part of him knows he shouldn't. He struggles with the decision, going back and forth in his head, but in the end he tells the woman no. He chooses not to commit adultery and instead goes home to remain faithful to his wife. When another husband is propositioned by a woman, he immediately rejects the offer and walks away. Which husband possesses more virtue? Clearly not the first. Imagine that man going home and saying to his wife, honey, you won't believe what happened today. I'm so virtuous and so committed to you. When I was asked by another woman to have an affair, I thought about it for a while. Honestly, it was a struggle. I really wanted to do it, but in the end I said no. It was a hard decision, but I made the sacrifice for you. Yes, I turned down that offer and decided to be faithful to you. See how much I love you. What an amazing husband you have. When a husband is tempted by a woman to commit adultery, it should not be a big moral dilemma. I wonder what I should do. Nor should it be something to struggle with, something to go back and forth internally about, Such a temptation should be promptly, firmly, and easily rejected. Without a doubt, the second man who immediately said no and walked away is much more virtuous, for he is the kind of man for whom adultery is not even an option. It is not something desired or considered. It's repulsive to the virtuous man. For the man of character, the temptation to cheat on his wife is just that, a temptation. And it is one that is swiftly, strongly, and easily resisted. Committing adultery is not something a virtuous husband struggles with or even desires to do. His desires have been ordered well and transformed by God's grace so that he doesn't just do the right thing, he desires the right thing and possesses an internal ability that makes it easy for him to resist temptation. Right desires. Do you ever feel like St. Paul, who lamented his utter weakness and inability to do the good he wanted to do? Consider what he once wrote. I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I do. Romans chapter 7, verses 15 and 19. We can all relate. We know we shouldn't spend so much time on social media, but we do. We know we shouldn't lose our temper, but we do. We know we should stop arguing with our spouses and just say sorry, but we refuse to give in. Because of original sin, we are all deeply wounded. Our intellect is clouded and does not see the truth clearly. Our will is weak and does not choose what is good easily. And our passions are no longer properly ordered. Our appetites, emotions, and desires lead us in so many different directions. Instead of assisting us in the pursuit of what is good, they often work against us. We regularly have to resist and redirect our passions. But God doesn't want us to have to battle against our desires all the time. He ultimately wants to heal them. He wants to get to the roots of our sins by retraining and healing our passions and desires. There certainly are times when temptations are strong and we need to step on the emergency brake, muster up enough willpower, and say no to our misguided desires. But God ultimately wants to heal those desires so that we become well-integrated human persons with our intellect, will, and passions working harmoniously together to lead us in the right direction toward what is truly good. This is a crucial point to grasp. The truly virtuous person doesn't just do the right thing, he also desires rightly. As we grow in virtue and the spiritual life, our emotions become more rightly ordered. Through much effort and even more grace, our desires become less a part of temptations that need to be resisted. Instead of something to constantly battle against, our passions become more like inner powers that actually assist us in our pursuit of what's good. When our desires are properly trained, they equip us to pursue the good passionately. We run after good things with all the intensity of our passions. That's why Joan and the second husband in the examples above are more virtuous. They did not have to struggle so hard against their desires. They already desire rightly, so it was easier for them to do the right thing. Caitlin and the first husband, however, have errant emotions and desires that lead them where they do not want to go. Their desires have not been trained well, so they constantly struggle against them. If virtue is a habitual and firm disposition to do the good, it's clear Caitlin and the first husband have a way to go in developing those inner dispositions that would make it easier for them to do what is right and do it quickly. We too have a long way to go in the healing of our desires and our growth in virtue. But that should not discourage us. For most people, this healing process takes a lifetime. For many of us, it will continue even into purgatory as God's love continues to transform, heal, and perfect us. Don't focus on how much work there is to do in the healing of your desires. Focus rather on the amazing love of our God, the God who loves us so much that he wants to heal our wounds at the deepest levels and transform us with his love. We have a Father who is so patient, kind, and merciful. He is quick to forgive us every time we fall and quick to help us get up and try again. He's not expecting us to fix all our problems overnight or heal our desires all on our own. That will never do. Though God certainly wants us to give our best in overcoming our weaknesses, He is just as interested in seeing us learn to throw ourselves into His arms and rely on His grace to heal us. He invites us to trust in Him to carry us to heights in virtue that we could never reach on our own. Maturity of desire. I think about how a child grows in virtue over time. When my kids are young and I ask them to do their chores, it might be a struggle at times. If they'd rather be outside or playing with friends, they might complete their chores, but internally and sometimes externally might complain and be frustrated. They might not do the chores as well as they should. Over time, they learn to resist those negative emotions. They don't complain about the chores as much and they start to do them well, but they still do them primarily out of obedience. As my children mature, however, it's a delight when I see them actually desiring to help the family. They notice some need in the household and take initiative to cook a meal, clean up a mess, or help one of their little siblings. No one tells them to do this. There are no consequences for them if they don't. Something inside them is starting to change their desires. They are beginning to see more clearly the common good of our family and not just their own interests. And they desire for things to run smoothly in the household and want to play their part to help. There is a big difference between children who simply do the right thing out of mere obedience and children who want to do the right thing out of the desires of their hearts. And the same is true for us adults. The more our desires become healed and trained, the more we will be able to love God and others from the heart. Indeed, God does not want merely our exterior obedience. He wants our hearts. Jesus himself taught, "You shall love the Lord God with all your heart," Matthew 22, verse 37. He doesn't want us to just do the right things. He wants us to want the right things. For when our passions are properly trained and we desire what is truly good in life, our desires are no longer impediments to virtue. They actually assist us in the pursuit of what is good. And it is then that we begin to experience a deeper interior freedom and the ability to give ourselves more to God and the people in our lives. We can love them more fully, more consistently, and more deeply from the heart. But what does the healing of our desires look like? And how do we experience it and grow in virtue? That's what we will look at in the next 2 chapters. Reflection questions. In the Bible, the heart is the center of all our desires. Our actions flow from the heart. In light of this background, what do you think Jesus meant when he taught, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart"? How do the examples about the 2 women and the diamond earrings challenge you to think about virtue differently? Why does God want to heal and properly order our desires? Why is it not enough for us to simply resist our fallen desires and obey his commandments? Why is life so much better when our desires are healed and directed toward what is truly good? What is one desire you tend to struggle against? What can you do to begin to redirect that desire? Ask God for his grace to heal your heart in this area.